You are listening to the Mountainside Podcast, and joining us in studio for this episode is my friend Taylor Welbon. She is a badass female that is crushing it on all levels. It was an honor and privilege to have her on the podcast. Taylor is a conservationist, bow hunter. She's a board member at War Party Ranch, a full-time trauma nurse by trade. But above all that, she's always an absolute pleasure to be around. She's been on my short list for quite some time, and it was great to have her in studio. Enjoy the conversation.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
It's great to have you in here. Yeah, it's awesome. We've hung out. When did we hang out? That was like a year ago.
Yeah, I was thinking about that here. I think I first met you at Western Hunt Fest.
Yeah. Is that happening this year?
I think so.
Is it?
Yeah.
That was a cool event.
Yeah. No, it was awesome.
Yeah. No, I'm hoping they bring it back.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I'm excited to see how it'll grow because I feel like they had some like heavy hitters there. For the first year was awesome. So
yeah,
to see how it goes.
Incredible. Yeah, that was a fun night.
Yeah.
Really fun night. And I think I've been hounding you ever since then. I finally got you in here.
Finally. I gave in. You wore me down.
So to catch listeners up that may not know you, or is your Instagram account private or not?
I don't think so.
Remember. Okay.
No. I don't think so since I joined the War Party stuff.
We've had so many guests this year, and I have so many this month that they're just like some of them start blending together.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, wait a minute, is this or that? Which is a great problem to have.
Yeah,
but
it's awesome.
It's so cool. But to catch people up, you're a board member at War Party Ranch.
Yep.
Correct, right?
Yep. I'm the
Jeremiah's
secretary.
nonprofit.
Yep.
Awesome. You're a bow hunter.
Bow hunter.
Nurse by trade, right?
Nurse by trade. Yep.
So just crushing it at all levels.
Yeah, just whatever. If there's something there I can do, I'm just going to throw myself into it. So, done that my whole life.
How long have you been at War Party Ranch? Because they're one of my favorite nonprofits, hand down.
Yeah, we kind of redid the board about 6 months ago.
Okay.
So, I've been on the board for 6 months, but we met Jeremiah actually at a little restaurant in Kiowa, or Elizabeth actually. Met him that way and then worked with him at the Elizabeth Rodeo. And then he's like, hey, do you want to join in on this meeting for like War Party stuff? I was like, sure, cool. Like, I'll do whatever you need me to do. Then they're like, do you want to be the marketer? I was like, no, I don't. I was like, I don't even know how to work my own Instagram account. Like, you do not want me on there. So had me on there. And then he's like, what about secretary? He's like, I love paperwork. I'm like the weird person who loves like everything laid out in front of you. So I was like, I'll be the secretary. Like, I can do that. So did that, and been
amazing group
since.
of people, amazing nonprofit.
Yeah,
I love Jeremiah to death, man. Like,
yeah, he's the best.
We've been friends for almost 5 years now, I think.
Oh wow,
it was cool. He reached out to me, and I'm so glad that he did because it's kind of funny. A lot of the people that reach out to me, I typically don't have on the podcast.
Yeah,
because it's kind of whoever I want to have in the seat and who I want to hang out with.
Absolutely.
And who I want to share a bottle of scotch with. Thanks for the gift, by the way.
Course.
This is awesome. Are we cracking this thing open?
Yeah, might as
We're
well.
going for
Let's
it?
do it.
All right.
It's 11 a.m. Why not?
Yeah.
Nothing else to do.
Hey, it's a holiday weekend, right?
Exactly.
This is awesome. Yeah, I normally don't drink scotch. I wish I had some cigars here or something to share with you guys.
Me too.
But yeah, Jeremiah reached out to me, I think kind of at it was like one of our first 50 episodes or something like that.
Really?
And now we've had him on like five or six times.
Yeah.
And then, it just forged this friendship that has been awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. He's awesome. He's definitely like
the
most genuine person I've ever met.
He's just so unique too.
Yeah.
I love the fact, my favorite fact about him is there's just no bullshit. There's no filter. Like,
no, it's very refreshing.
Yes.
Like, you know exactly what you're going to get, and he's going to tell you right to your face. I think, actually, one of the first times we hung out, I think it was like New Year's. Well, like we really hung out, I guess. It was New Year's like a year ago. And him and I were at the bar.
This is awesome.
Yeah, it's the good stuff. And
you guys didn't have to bring me a gift. This is awesome.
We did.
Thanks, Adam.
We have to.
Shout out.
We have to.
Thank you, Taylor.
Of course.
Tell me when.
Oh, that's great. We'll start there. But yeah, like the first time I met him, I was at a bar, and he actually like made me cry at the bar because he was just saying like the nicest stuff that no one's like ever said to me before. Like, I want my daughter to kind of like be like you. And I was like, coming from you, that means like, because I know you're not lying to me, like not trying to make me feel better. And I'm just like bawling at the bar. I was like, that's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me.
That's so awesome. I just
awesome.
love that approach. He's changed my mind on so much. And like, I grew up in a household with a ton of domestic violence through multiple like stepdads and, just kind of in that situation. So it really like hits home to me what he's doing. And I totally understand it. And I'm supportive of it. It's just, it's shocking to me when I started sitting down with him and the facts. And it's like, when you start looking at the statistics of how many people are affected by domestic violence, it's shocking to me. And it really hits home. I'm like, well, I guess I'm one of those statistics,
Absolutely.
And you think about, it's such a scar, like something that you don't want to have happen to anybody that you know or love. And then if it is happening to you, it's like kept in the dark. So it's like, where are they getting those statistics? And is it even worse?
Yeah. I would assume. Because I just feel like it opened up the conversation, especially like from a woman to another woman who's been in situations that were not so great, like I've been in. It just really opens up the conversation. So it is hard. Like, it's still hard for me to like talk about the stuff I've been through. And actually stuff I've still never talked about. But it opens up the conversation for other women to be like, hey, that happened to me too. And it's like, oh my gosh, like, you're not alone, but like, let's talk about it if you want to. And I just think it's a very cool opportunity to kind of give other women a voice that, don't want to talk about certain things, or I don't know, they just aren't ready to. And you're like, it's okay. We don't have to talk about it, but like, you're not alone. And whenever you're ready, you have me. And then also this entire wonderful board of women. And also,
that's just like true badasses. Like women that would
so cool.
put me to shame.
Yeah.
Make me want to be a better person, whether they're into CrossFit. You're one of those included. Like, it's just a badass group of women. And honestly, that's the main reason why I wanted to have you in here. Because I think what Jeremiah is doing, it's not only just to like support people of domestic violence, it's to empower women in a way that nobody else is doing, I don't really feel like.
Yeah.
Because you have to have that sense of community and that tribal like type war party, right?
Yeah.
When it really comes down to it, to feel confident, right? Like, especially whether you're a man or a woman, if you're put in a violent situation, there's no better feeling than knowing that somebody on your left or your right is there to help protect you, right?
Yeah.
If you're all on your own, that is one of the worst feelings. Like, getting jumped by another group of men, and that's the only way I can relate it. So I think, and I'm not a combat veteran. I think his experience in combat, kicking down doors for years and the extensive military career that he had, he really understands like, how to put proper men in the situation that are going to empower women, whether it's through training or just like what he said to you, like, I want my daughters to be like you.
Yeah.
That sort of thing, I think, goes a lot further than people realize. So even though their War Party isn't like this huge nonprofit that's like collecting millions of dollars, which it should be.
Yeah. I wish.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I just think what you guys do with what you have is so much more than even the money or just the support. It's like the shooting classes, the self-defense classes, the self-defense jiu-jitsu, the cross-training, the horsemanship, the Western heritage, like the outfitting, hunting. Like, there's so many different ways that I think that I still, to this day, I find most of my peace or solace in the backcountry when I'm elk hunting, because it's humbling. And like, whenever I'm having a bad day, I'm so fortunate that I can go right over here and deer hunt, which is probably what I'm going to do if we don't get too drunk after this. Cheers, by the way.
Cheers.
But that's really where I find, and maybe this is me getting older, and like, I never realized it as a young man. I was just out there crushing the woods, carrying my bow around, chasing elk, bugling, and like trying to be successful. But as I've gotten older, and now that I have children, it's like I take those moments in, and this sounds really spiritual or like deep, but it's like a connection to the past a little bit, I think.
For sure.
Which is one thing, and that connection with food. But more importantly, is just like being in the middle of nowhere, trying to be quiet, not not out there to like recreate or have a good time, like to have a purpose.
Yeah.
And then really experiencing nature because you're trying to leave the least impact on the land that you possibly can.
Absolutely.
So I understand that. And then horsemanship on top of that, you know, I grew up around horses and stuff. So I know like just dogs and horses have been so therapeutic for me.
Oh, yeah.
No matter what.
Sure.
Like my dogs were my best friends, even when I was going through all that like domestic violence stuff. And horses are basically giant dogs.
Yeah.
Maybe even a little bit smarter.
Yeah.
Right?
Much smarter. Yeah. And I actually didn't really grow up like on a farm, but grew up in like farm country. I'm from middle of nowhere, Ohio. Like we never had the money to have a farm or do anything like that, but we always had dogs. And I'm thankful like my siblings were my best friends. Like I grew up in a very wonderful home and I'm very, very thankful for that opportunity. So, but yeah, I'm kind of with you. Like the dogs are the best thing. And then all of our neighbors have horses and I've kind of like adopted all of them because I'll just go like, hey, gonna go see your horses for a while. And it's like, had a bad day, like head down to the pasture, gonna go hang out with your horses. So just really thankful for those because, yeah, they can be life-saving for
yeah,
sure.
100%. And then, you know, like shout out to Micah too. I mean,
gosh.
Wasaki, right? Am I saying that right?
I think so, yeah.
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 God, what an amazing woman
Yeah.
too, you know, like, so
She's awesome.
it's just that group of people. So I'm so stoked that Jeremiah reached out to me because we wouldn't probably have talked if it wasn't for the podcast.
Yeah.
We really forged our relationship in here and then, you know, come to find out we have a bunch of mutual friends and and stuff like that. So it's not very often that I get behind a nonprofit just because I've been burned on a couple. So I really have to know they're good people, but these are good people. And it's why you're sitting here today.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about your involvement and kind of the day-to-day and like some of the stuff that you've experienced there.
For war party stuff?
For war party stuff, yeah.
Yeah, so
This is fantastic, by the way.
Do you like
Thank
it?
you. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, gotta love a
Gabby, are you in?
I'll take one.
Adam,
Yes.
you want one? Okay.
Got it. Everyone needs
Here,
to join in.
roll that bad boy to wide, Gabby.
I got it.
Oh, that glass is not clean. Do you want rocks?
Yeah, a little bit.
You might have to
Yeah.
go grab. I don't want to stick my dirty hands in your.
A little extra flavor.
It's really good. I'm gonna have to start drinking more scotch now.
There you go. Well, now you
So
got a fair collection.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. Back to your.
You're good. Yeah, so for
Cheers.
Cheers.
Let me get-
Nice
Cheers.
glass. over there. Show that one off.
Yeah, I was supposed to give you this one, Taylor. Gabby
What does it
gifted
say?
this to me at Christmas. It says the mountainside on it. She had it like custom made, but
That's
we only have
awesome.
one. So
That's all right.
I accidentally.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's the good stuff.
Sorry.
No,
We're
you're
totally
good.
getting sidetracked
No,
by
you're good.
booze. Story of my life.
It's good. When it's not good, you have to. Yeah, so war party stuff, and I'm definitely more like on the back side of it, which is where I like to be. I don't need to be like front and center of
here
stuff.
you are.
I love it's
On the podcast.
yeah, I know. I shouldn't be here. But I do all the paperwork, to make sure we're good with like IRS. Like again, it's the stuff no one really wants to do, but I find a lot of joy in doing that because I know, we're going to be compliant and like war party can continue even if I get kicked off or leave or whatever it might be, which I know, Jeremiah, I have no intention if you're listening to leave. But that's kind of like what I do. And then I kind of just help communication along all board members. And then I think our board is very interesting too. I've never been on one before, but feels different because we all just like, we have our roles, but we all just like bind together and like get stuff done. And who has an idea for this? Cool, take it and run. So it's just, there's a lot of freedom inside the board, which is really, really nice. But that's kind of what my day-to-day is kind of boring. It's not really super exciting, but just love to be there for the rest of the board members to support them however they need and give them whatever I can do for them. But
Yeah.
that's kind of my day-to-day.
Yeah.
So riveting.
Well, I know you're busy with a full-time job too.
Yeah.
So this is like voluntary
Yeah.
type stuff that you're doing and community service really.
Mm-hmm.
Are you involved at all on the level of like supporting other women or I know you guys go to some of the events too. So it's much more than just sending stuff to the IRS, right?
Yeah, the super fun
Like
stuff.
I know, like you guys, that's the event that I met you as the Western Hunt Expo.
Yeah.
Right? And then, so being involved in different events and stuff like that too, right?
And I think it's cool because everyone on the board, I mean, we all do different things, which is really nice because then we can kind of go into our own little world who we know. Like, I know these people, I know this world. So we can make connections in so many different places. Like Natasha, our president, you know, she's in NFR and does all that kind of stuff. So she has like all of that. And then Marissa, she goes like SHOT Show and knows all the people there. And then we're actually going to SCI.
Nice.
Hunting convention in Nashville this year. So I'm hoping to do a lot of marketing while we're there because I know the Western world a little bit more. It's the hunting side, which Adam and I know pretty not well, but
hey, congratulations on the muley. That was a toad.
You. Yeah,
that was awesome.
Yeah, it was very excited. My first bow. I just got my bow this year, so
super rad.
First hunt, and got a
Tell me about that.
4x3. It was awesome. Because we have some land, so we get to hunt kind of in our backyard, which is really, really nice.
Super awesome.
So out in Kiowa, and we've just been kind of like watching their patterns. You know, they got in the rut, and just kind of watching all of them come in and leave, and you got to see, you know, that one's like a young one, let's leave him, and kind of got to do all that stuff. But it was actually kind of by myself too, which
really?
I was not expecting because Adam's my little, like, tell me what to do. So really helpful. But he was like in the house and we have like a little shed out back. So I was like, well, I'll just use that as like a little stand basically. So went out bright and early in the morning. We were getting up at like 5 to go glass and do all this stuff. And we saw one guy kind of in our neighbor's yard. And I was like, oh my gosh, he's huge. And, you know, at that time of the day, everything looks giant. Just kind of watching him. I was like, I'm just going to sneak into the shed real quick. So snuck down in there and then just watched him for probably an hour and a half or so. And they just kept like walking around and he was chasing his does around, but then I couldn't find him. I was like, where the heck is he? So I was texting Adam. I was like, do you see him? He's like, no, I don't see him. I was like, he was right here. I was like, I don't know where the heck he went. And I just like peeked out of our little shed and he's like right there. I was like, oh my gosh. So I think I scared him a little. And then he like went about 20, 26, 27 yards. Totally forgot about me. He had a little doe he wanted to be hanging out with and just got him broadside right there and went about got a double lung, broke his shoulder on the other side, went about 40 yards and bedded down and got him. But
that's the best feeling.
Yeah.
Like an ethical shot is the best feeling.
Yeah.
That was your first one with a bow?
Yeah.
What an awesome experience.
Yeah. And it was perfect. I was like, I don't want to take like a big shot. Like, I don't need anything fancy. I just want to take an ethical shot. So we were talking about it yesterday. I was like, I pray before every like hunting. I was like, I just want it to be an ethical shot. Don't want this deer to suffer or whatever I'm hunting. And thankfully,
I do too. Like I get very spiritual.
I do too. I was like, please, please, please. Like if anything else, like I just don't want him to be hurting. So I went down there and cried like a baby. I was so thankful.
I did too.
Oh my gosh. I was like, does everyone cry? I was just bawling. And
it's like this roller coaster of emotion that you can't explain to somebody unless you've been through it, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like you put all this effort, like you just explained, you know, sitting there for an hour and then you're nervous about your shot. So to pull off your shot and to have a perfect shot like you did, is you must practice a lot.
I do.
Okay. So
yes, very.
So putting in those reps and then all that time. So you have like basically a year, or at least 6 months of just, if you're really practicing and really practice to make an ethical shot, especially when your knees are knocking under that buck fever and you're like, can't catch your breath. And then you start getting in your own head. And it's like, it takes a lot of confidence, right? So it's like this huge hurdle. I always say like you're climbing this mountain and then all of a sudden, you know, you spot something. And then you're at the like peak of the mountain. Yeah. And then
that's when
it's almost like jumping off a cliff, right?
Yeah.
Because you just like feel weightless almost. Like you're not noticing anything else, just locked in.
Yeah.
And you let that arrow fly. And then there's like moment of like free fall is like, why did I jump off the cliff? Oh my God, I hope this was good. Was it a good shot? And then even if you watch the arrow going perfectly, I'll start questioning myself like, I hit him back or I hit him, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I start like freaking out and questioning myself. But then that whole relief of when you get them, you're like, God, it's just like this level of excitement that you can't feel. And then all of a sudden you realize like you just killed something. And then you're like in that deep, dark valley for a minute, you know,
like,
where you're just like, oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I love because Adam was because he helped me like do everything, break him down or whatever. And he was like, "You're the first human to ever touch that deer." And I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like
That's
and
a
just-
cool.
Yeah,
That's a cool way to look at
yeah.
it.
He put it that. I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And so I think that's when I started crying because I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And I'm probably the first one to ever touch it. Like,
Yeah.
it's crazy. And then you just like touch all the antlers and just really appreciate every ounce of him for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I always try to take a minute and just enjoy it. Like, it's not like dive right into the process and just take a minute and like soak it in and
Yeah, absolutely.
kind of pay respects to those animals too.
100%.
Man. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Mule deer are so badass.
They're
I
so
love
pretty.
mule deer, especially when they're in the rut. Like,
Yeah,
right now is the best time of
Best
year,
time of
just
year,
because they
yeah.
get all like swole up and just like we just had a wildlife photographer in,
Oh, cool.
Jason Loftus. Shout out, like the most amazing wildlife photographer I've ever run across. Like,
Yeah.
Gabby, you should pull up his Instagram real quick.
Yeah, I
It's
wanna
Untamed Images, and he goes all over the world. But he was here shooting mule deer and hit me up.
Oh, cool.
And we did a podcast way back when, but it was virtual. So it was the first time we had him in person in the studio.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And we had a blast. We just geeked out on animals and animal behavior
oh
and
my gosh.
photography stuff. This guy is a stud. Just shoots
that
the
helps.
most amazing animals in the most amazing backdrops
Wow.
and is really, just an unbelievable artist in my opinion.
Those
The
are
guy that I
beautiful.
look up to because one of my favorite things to do is hop behind the camera and take photos of elk, especially around here and
Yeah.
and
Those
deer
are
and stuff.
beautiful.
Actually, my season on my mule deer tag ends today, so tomorrow I will be. If I don't fill my tag tonight
Yeah.
and butchering tomorrow, I will be out taking some photos, hopefully catching some of these muleys.
There you go. Well, hopefully
In the
get one
rut.
today too.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are beautiful.
Yeah, really cool stuff. Just like that polar bear right there.
Yeah.
With that, like the backdrop and so
that's
cool.
beautiful.
I want to go take photos of polar bears so bad. But like
That's it.
the elk rut and the deer rut are my favorite time to take photos because those animals have like so much character. Like we were talking
Mm-hmm.
about it. Like they get all swole up like they're on steroids or
Yep.
with Arnold and then they start, they just get dumb to the point where I've seen them like walk into stuff.
Oh yeah. They got one thing on their mind and that's it. They're not
Typical
caring about
man,
anything
right?
else. Yep. It's the demise of every man.
Yeah. It's so cool just being out there, that connection with it all. That's super rad. Congratulations.
you.
Yeah. And then the meat, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Incredible.
We got him back. We always go to Steve's Meat Market and
Yeah, they're good over there.
yeah, he's wonderful. And so we always go there.
Did you get a bunch of specialty stuff?
Oh,
See,
quite a
like
few
the-
little things.
yeah.
Yeah, they have a new like sriracha honey, like beef jerky, and it
Nice.
is insane. It is so good. But they're wonderful out there. But yeah, do you have a favorite hunt to you that kind of comes out that you've done?
Like one specific hunt,
Yeah.
like an experience.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's probably on a mule deer, honestly.
Oh, really?
Like I love hunting elk. Like there's no better feeling than that. And it's just grueling because
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate where I hunt deer now is on some private land.
Nice.
And it's not far from here. So it's always like super convenient. And the animals are kind of untouched in there. Like there's not a whole lot of people that hunt in that specific area because
Yeah.
it's so populated with homes. But the property that we have access to is about, in total, it's like 4 or 5 different properties, but it's probably 300 acres.
Okay.
So it's
Nice.
really cool going in there. And
Yeah.
it's just like that experience of untouched, like the people that live on it, they're not like out where we're at on their property. And it's one reason why they have us hunt is like to kind of keep the animals moving and keep like some sort of like human connection in there. So
Yeah.
much more than I've had crazy experiences with predators, I've had on their property, like the craziest.
Oh, really?
Because the bears and stuff in there are just kind of habituated to people because they kind of eat out of the trash
Yeah.
and that sort of thing. But then they also have access to a ton of like acorns and stuff. So the bucks get really big and just like ton of fat on them.
Yeah.
And the bears are the biggest bears I've ever seen in Colorado are in there.
wow.
And they're like big dogs, man. It's crazy. So
Yeah.
So I was in there, this was 2 years ago, not a giant buck. Came through this one meadow that I always check. And I was coming down the backside and I saw these 2 bucks like up on the hill.
Mm-hmm.
And this buck in particular was just like the time of day, the sunlight.
Yeah.
Like it was probably the first time in the past like 5 or 6 years where I was hunting where I just felt like really good.
Yeah.
Like I almost had like a moment with God, and I'm not like a religious person, but it was just like the sunlight and everything that was happening, his silhouette, and like the way I watched my arrow go in, I've never been like so calm.
Yeah.
And then, right through the heart,
Nice.
perfect shot, beautiful night. And it was on Thanksgiving,
Oh my gosh.
which was super cool.
Yeah.
So like, it was just kind of like that whole connection of
scenario,
everything
yeah.
to the point where I was like late for Thanksgiving dinner and all that
Yeah.
sort of stuff because now I'm dealing with this deer,
Yeah.
But I was just kind of like that culmination of everything.
Yeah.
And then as I'm field dressing him, this giant black bear comes in
Oh gosh.
and just like it happened to be kind of warm. So the bears are normally hibernating. Like when we get this first like big snow, this was like 2 years ago or something. It was ridiculously warm and the deer were even rutting later and stuff like that. But this bear just came in and like sat on his haunches, like kind of like, I don't, are you around cattle dogs a lot? Do you guys have dogs?
We have a dog. Yeah.
Okay.
He's a Lab and Akbash mix. So
Okay.
like a guardian.
What is that?
It's like a Turkish dog, and they're like
Okay.
like kind of like a guardian
Nice.
dog. I forget what.
Do you have any photos of them on your Instagram?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
See if you can pull that up, Gabby. But
should.
anyways, like I've always had healers, and I've been around a ton of Malinois because a lot of the former military guys that we've had on the podcast have Malinois, and they're just kind of these dogs that they're crazy. They like sleep on their backs like humans. When they sit down, they don't sit like a dog, with like their back legs underneath them. They kind of sit like on the side of their ass.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny with their legs kicked out.
Yeah.
So anyways, this bear was just sitting there like that and just watching me field dress this thing, waiting to get on the gut pile.
No. That was my old dog. I know. I think if you go up, he'd be up. I had a lab and
Oh
pit
man,
for
that
a
lab
while.
was awesome.
Yeah.
Dogs are the best.
They are the best. That's embarrassing. I'm not posting about my own son. Think
Maybe just Google the
more.
breed if it's not.
he should be
Okay.
right there, that black dog. Yeah.
Oh, it looks just like a black lab.
Yeah.
Really?
But he's much taller, longer tail.
Okay.
But yeah, he'll just like sit outside and just pretty much watch all day long to like protect you basically from anything.
That's
But
awesome. That's a
yeah.
great picture, you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Sweet
back
boy.
to that experience, it was just something about the night where it was like the first time that I ever felt like just really like, okay, I'm going to take in the moment and not so much like chasing the I guess the goal.
Yeah.
It was just like, I was kind of going in there just to be in there. It was just like the whole culmination of that night.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
even though it wasn't the biggest buck or the biggest one that I've shot or the biggest elk or the biggest hunt that I've been on, like that was the coolest to me.
Oh, that's one that's had the most impact to you too. It's
Yeah.
kind of like letting nature be nature a little bit.
Yeah, it was like,
Throughout your hunt.
I don't know if it was because I was microdosing mushrooms, but I'm pretty sure.
Are you sure that was your right
Yeah,
experience?
yeah. And it's crazy though what a microdose will do to you because like you don't have to go down. I don't know if you guys partake in psychedelics at all,
No.
but so microdosing that I got introduced to, like if you take a bunch of mushrooms, you're gonna have like a psychedelic trip, like where you're seeing like light trails and you're in another dimension, another world, right? And I don't like that feeling. It's very humbling, right? If you're in like a good situation. I did that a lot when I was younger. But recently I had a friend turn me on to just microdosing and they were just explaining to me, like, here, try this. It's a pill form.
Yeah.
And you don't notice, like, you're not high. Like, you can still function like your day-to-day function, but you just notice color a little bit different and you notice light a little bit different. And The first time I noticed it was with my 6-year-old. And we were on the porch, and there was this beetle that was like walking across the porch. And we just took like 15 minutes just sitting there like checking it out, like looking at the legs, looking at the color of it and all that sort of stuff. And then that's when it kind of like popped in. So I don't know if it's a placebo thing or something, but I think it does have some sort of correlation.
Yeah.
Where it just makes you like slow down a little bit. And like, if I was so busy that I couldn't take time to spend with my 6-year-old to check out the colors and the legs and how this beetle was shaped and the way it was moving and like all that sort of stuff. So I think that's kind of the experience that I had in that deer moment, where it's like, it kind of opens your eyes to another stuff that you would be so caught up in your own head that you don't notice. It slows that down and makes you appreciate stuff.
That was right in front of you.
Yeah. And I'm not microdosing right now, by the way. This is
You
me
can do
normal.
whatever you want,
I don't do it before a podcast because I don't want to cry or something, dude. I'm a big emotional softie, you know? So like, I went through that emotional roller coaster. Same with that deer. It was just like I had all those emotions, but it was even more. And
absolutely,
it's awesome. Like, I'm a big proponent of microdosing psilocybin because no matter whether you're in a sport, like my favorite spots to do it are on the jiu-jitsu mat, which I'm not doing anymore because I'm getting old and injured all the time. But in the weight room is awesome because you start feeling like all your muscle fibers and everything, but you're not like high. It's not like a weed high or you're not drunk. You just notice like things about your body are like, God, there's this like crink in my neck.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, you're like stretching it out and then you feel great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Awesome.
Like it's that sort of like little bit of enlightenment.
Yeah.
Little bit of edge.
Yeah. Now I've heard wonderful things because there's, so I'm a nurse by trade, but within my company now, there's like 4 different companies basically. And one is like a behavioral health, like addiction type specialty basically. And just the results that are coming from, because they're doing the like ketamine infusions and stuff like that. Just the science that's coming out
to
of
help
all
with
that.
like alcohol addiction, or is it
addiction, like because they do a lot of stuff for like PTSD and all like emotional trauma and stuff like that. And we've had a few friends that have done it. ADHD.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I know someone who did it.
Yeah.
Incredible.
ketamine?
Yeah, they do ketamine infusions, and it's all. I mean, I don't know the full science behind it, but they'll dose you appropriately and like, oh gosh, take you like on a journey a little bit like through the trauma. Because I've had a few friends that have done it for PTSD, and they're like completely different people now after doing like a ketamine type thing. But yeah, I think they're finding like psychedelics now have a lot more positive.
So I guess ketamine, I don't know anything about ketamine because I've never taken it, but is it a full like psychedelic experience that somebody has, or is it?
I think it could. Again, I don't know either. I'm kind of talking my butt, but I think it could be, but I think for what they're using it for, it's very dose specific. So I think they like slowly put you, like, you're not just going to go and get like a full dose. They're going to like,
Well, that's what I encourage anybody with any sort of like psychedelics, like tread lightly, like just don't go to the music festival, get the bag of mushrooms and then take it there.
All.
Like be in a good spot. Like, I think that's my last couple like DMT journeys and stuff like that were with that in mind, and that specifically the purpose to be enlightenment, basically.
Yeah.
And being surrounded by good people and having like a shaman or somebody there that's like medically
can, like,
trained
guide you
in case
through the
yeah.
situation. Yeah.
And then also like your history, like if any sort of mental illness runs in your family or anything like that, like I would not advise it, right? Because I would imagine people crack. I know that they do on marijuana.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, on heavy doses of it with edibles and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure.
But I know so many military guys that are getting help through, whether it's DMT or psilocybin or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's just hugely therapeutic. I just wish, I wish it was legal. I mean, it's decriminalized here in the state now, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Look that up for me real quick. Just double check that Colorado is. I think they decriminalized psilocybin, or mushrooms in general, which it should be.
Sure,
Yeah. So I feel like we're making those steps slowly, because I think that was the first process in legalizing marijuana too, right? Was or weed?
I can't spell.
Psilocybin. I think it's with a P. Fuck, I don't know.
PSY.
There it is.
This?
No. Yeah,
I would have never figured that out.
that's a hard one to
Oh,
spell.
5.
Okay, Colorado decriminalizes. Sorry, scroll back up to just the headline. 5 psilocybins, but what exactly does this mean? So let's see if we can figure out. Oh, there's some audio there. Is that an advertisement or is that?
It's
Listen
listen
to this.
to the article.
Oh, okay. That's kind of cool.
Yeah,
For guys that
DMT
can't read.
too.
So DMT too.
Yeah.
That
Wow.
is
There you go.
man. People think that they're going to come out of that like totally enlightened, and it fucking wrecks you.
Yeah.
Like, be prepared.
Yeah.
Like to pull everything that's ever been in the back of your closet
Yeah. It's
that
gonna
you
be
don't
coming
want
out.
people to know.
It's coming out.
It did for me anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really good, but still to this day, I'm like, oh man, like I haven't done it in a long time,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think that there's some real benefits to this sort of stuff. You know, I like the microdosing because no matter what, I like being in control.
Yeah.
So like for me to go on like a trip, it would have to be like a 3-day thing to Mexico with
Yeah.
like somebody that wanted to do it too
Yeah.
or something, you know. Like,
No phones. Yeah.
I'd
do it.
really have to have somebody like pitch it and sell it to me. But
Yeah,
other than that, like I'm
sure.
just fine with the microdose.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is you can get there different ways with no drugs at all.
Yeah.
Like put yourself in a dark room for a little bit or what is it? A sensory deprivation tank. Have you ever done one of those? Float tank?
No.
Oh, they're awesome.
I can't shut my mind off yet to be able to do those
Oh,
things.
you
I
can
would
shut it off in there.
freak
Well,
out.
that's the kind of the thing. Your mind doesn't
point
shut
of it.
off, so it starts going down all these different rabbit holes, and you're in a tank that's filled with like I think it's like 6,000 pounds of salt
Oh my gosh.
to make you buoyant,
Float,
and then
yeah.
the water is the same temperature as your body.
Oh.
So
Gosh.
you're like weightless. You're in the dark. I think you can choose to have some light on, and then you're in there for like an hour with no noise. You normally have earplugs in. Mm-hmm. In the first like 15 minutes, you just start thinking about like, oh, I got to pay the mortgage or I got to fucking do this.
Yeah.
Or it's like, and then you kind of wake up and you're like, fuck, I'm paying all this money. I need to just relax,
focus,
right?
yeah.
And the first time I was really skeptical. I had somebody kind of force me to go.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like super skeptical about it. I was like, this is fucking stupid.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm one of those guys, you know,
Yeah.
like this is so dumb.
it doesn't
Like I'm a
work.
man. I can handle my own shit. Dude, I came out of that thing like I had taken it, ate the mushrooms, and the most rest that I've ever had because I think even when you like lay in a bed or something, you still have to have like some skeletal and muscle structure to like keep yourself breathing and all that sort of stuff. Like you kind of lose all of
things.
that in there. Like it feels like you're in an anti-gravity thing. And then you come out and your skin feels awesome because
Yeah.
of like all the salt that you're laying in. It's really,
gosh.
they're awesome.
Yeah.
Highly recommend that too.
Yeah.
And you can have a psychedelic journey without even, like you
need
start
to take
seeing
it.
light trails and the whole
Yeah.
nine. It's
Mind
pretty
kinda takes
wild.
over. Dang.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's really cool.
Hmm.
And then the second or third, fourth time that I've done it, because you go in there with that purpose.
Yeah.
So then your body's kind of trained to like let go. You
Yeah.
like you get into it
Kinda
much
knows.
faster.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I did one that was, I think 90 minutes, which was too long.
Yeah. It's like I would.
I was like,
fall
yeah,
asleep.
that's like, I don't need to go to that dimension. Just like, let me
far,
put my
too
toes
far,
in.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's
funny.
cool. So as a nurse at this clinic, when you say ketamine infusions, are they doing it through IV?
I think so. I'm kind of just
Yeah.
a resource to them. I'm a wound nurse by trade. So
Oh, really?
Yeah, I do all the gross stuff that no one else ever wants to do or see.
So like wound dressing, like
Yeah.
stitches and all staples and all that sort of
Yeah. I
stuff.
take care of all that stuff like pressure injury, bed sores, surgical wounds, like open
man.
leg wounds, all that. Yeah. All this stuff. Trauma wounds. I was in a trauma section at a hospital for a while.
So like gunshot wounds? and
gunshot
stuff?
wounds. Yep. Seen just about everything, I think.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So the mythical like movie stuff where you like cauterize it yourself or pull the bullet out or
Yeah.
like all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, that doesn't really happen. Okay. I mean, we cauterize like a bedside, but they'll go like to an OR most of the time to get the bullets because they have to like clean it out and do all that stuff.
Right.
But yeah, mostly they would come in and we would just assess and just make sure they were stable enough until they went to the OR.
So how many
basically.
gunshot victims have you seen?
Probably 6 or 7. Not many, but
Yeah.
enough. I've seen enough. Usually I'm taking care of them like after they've
Gotcha.
been in the OR and stuff like that. But yeah, I've seen a lot of those and a lot of really gross stuff. So
Yeah, that's a rough one. We did one of the guests that we've had on, awesome guy, SWAT medic, Sam Boyer Goff.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a YouTube channel called Prep Medic, and it's just
cool.
about being prepared, right?
Yeah.
But he works on a rotary wing as a paramedic, but then he also goes on SWAT calls in the state of Colorado if there's a SWAT thing for SWAT
cool.
med,
Yeah.
which is awesome. But he's been really cool with us. I was like, I want to do like an actual like stop the bleed
Yeah.
little training here for the people that are here.
Yeah.
So he came up and we like visqueened off in here because it was like snowing outside, and he brought up the true clot like blood
Oh yeah.
trainers.
Yeah.
So the thing is like spurting blood and just it was crazy. It was
That's
like
cool.
you stick your fingers in it and you can feel the bones, it feels like a femur bone or something in
That's
there,
cool.
and like
Yeah.
packing it with gauze, and then the it's a special type of gauze, I think, or a special type of blood that will actually like start clotting
Yeah.
and stuff,
yeah.
which was really
Yeah.
cool. But just even that, like, I couldn't imagine being put in that situation just because I want to be prepared for that. But those blood trainers are really cool because we did it a couple times without any blood, and even with the simulated blood, like your senses just start going like crazy, like your heart rate gets more. You're like, oh God, you got to really
There's so
like
much
stop
blood.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's a
It
good
is
thing to
crazy.
know too, because I don't think people realize you can bleed out from an arterial wound like within minutes.
Yeah. Very quick.
And if you look at the average response time of like EMS,
Yeah.
especially like living
Especially if
in
you're
a
in the
mountain
mountains
town,
too. Yeah. You better
yeah,
know what to
you're
do.
going to bleed out 2 times
Yeah.
before they even get there.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, it's nice to be prepared, and I feel very thankful that I've gotten all the training that I have for that kind of stuff. But yeah, I would love to do more, like, out in the woods, like you have like a stick and some toilet paper. What do you do with it? And like, because I'm thankful to have enough, all the hospital resources and everything. I'm like, oh, just go pull it from the shelf and everything's great. But yeah, I just think being prepared is something.
Well, that's the thing. I think people
aren't.
go to like Walgreens and they're like, oh, I need a first aid kit because I'm going in the backcountry.
Yeah.
And it's got an assortment of
Band-Aid.
like fucking Band-Aids and some
Good luck.
Neosporin.
Yeah.
That isn't not going to do shit.
Nope,
Like you
not at
need,
all.
like there's some awesome websites out there. Sam's is one of them where you can go and buy like a whole like trauma kit that's already set up. But North American Rescue is a super badass
Yeah.
website. And a lot of people think that it's for first responders only.
Yeah.
But you can
You
buy
can do it,
stuff on
everyone
there.
can,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like I got nasal gene airways and like
Nice.
everything, you
Yeah.
know, like you would need for like an actual like
Heck yeah.
IFAX trauma kit.
Yeah.
And I got one in
That's
each
awesome.
vehicle and one up here. And then I just take some of that stuff, even when I fly. Like that's one of my biggest fears is like,
Yeah.
I must look like a psycho.
Just
Like if
come
you
prepared.
actually saw what was in my backpack
Yeah.
and where I
Like,
sit
what
on
are
the
you
plane, I was like,
preparing for?
I'm going to be more prepared than the terrorists that are trying to take down the plane. I got like zip tie handcuffs, tactical screwdriver,
Ready for anything.
a tourniquet, some gauze packed in there. Yeah,
Does security ever stop you? Like what?
No, because
is this?
everything that you can take is legal.
Oh.
Like I just got sent. God, look up Crush Everything. It's Dom Rosso. He's got an incredible podcast. But I just got this. It's a warrior's rosary that he sent me, and I'm not Catholic or religious, but it's so badass. It's a rosary, but it's strong enough that you can like pretty much hang from it. So
Oh my gosh.
you could choke somebody
Yeah.
with it. You know what I'm saying? That was the first thing.
Dual unit.
Yeah.
You can use that for other things.
And then he also makes, yes,
Okay.
he also makes like tactical screwdrivers. He's a former SEAL. He's got an amazing
That's cool.
podcast too. I'm drawing a blank on it that Ironclad produces. Look at like gear and then go to faith. I think it's faith.
I think it's on the bottom right.
Oh yeah, down. Yeah, these they're just like super badass. So that rosary right there is like a tactical warrior rosary. So it's got all the prayers on it, and it's really cool.
That is cool.
Great gift.
Yeah, what a great idea.
And then he's got, screwdrivers that are TSA approved. You do have to go through some stuff, like if the TSA pulls it out, but as long as it's a flathead screwdriver and it's under 7 inches, you can take it on a plane. So like
Perfect.
Half Face Blades makes one.
Smart.
Then these guys make one. I think these are the only 2 companies. So, I mean, you can take that on a plane.
Yeah.
You can take
Awesome.
stone knives on a plane.
Really?
You can take,
go.
yeah. It's just
Take
a rock,
everything.
right?
Yeah,
It's
it's
an
true.
artifact. You can
sharp
take
rock.
antlers. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you've ever seen Braveheart, but
Yeah. You
there's
can
that
put
one
in there.
scene in there, an antler could
Yeah.
do some damage,
Yeah.
But
Anything can be a weapon if you try hard enough.
yeah. But look up Dom's podcast real quick. I think if you search Dom Rosso on Instagram, I just want to give them a shout out because his podcast is all about being prepared, and then they do like a playback of like certain scenarios where they've caught somebody like in the middle of a robbery at a gas station or something, what somebody should have done to put themselves in a better situation or
Yeah.
what they did right or maybe what they did wrong.
Yeah. That's
Like,
cool.
it's really
That's a
good.
great idea.
Maybe just put Dom R. Should come up. Yeah, it's that first one right there. It's DOMRASO on Instagram. Great follow. And Dangerous Questions. And Ironclad produces it. Those guys are so badass. They're producing Derek Wolf's podcast, and they think they do like Andy Stump and like Cleared Hot and
Oh, cool.
Mike Glover and all. Super badass
That's awesome.
guys. But this show is incredible because it puts you in
Oh, yeah.
like right there. Click on that one right there in the middle. Let's watch that, Gabby. Maybe give us a little bit of volume.
He does something here. This guy with the hat on already has his head down, right? If I'm in a public arena, guys, as much as possible, I'm trying to keep my head on a swivel. If I can see past the door for a second, I might have seen that guy come in. He starts demanding something from the cash register. Now, pause. I'm within arm's length reach of this guy. He's right here. Now, I know what to do. And this guy takes charge. As he's breaking contact, he's trying to get that gun on. I don't know if he's thinking too much about where that girl is, but it's something to consider. As soon as I start controlling that firearm, I want to get it offline of anybody else that's in view. Obviously, the firearm's on the ground. The fight is with that guy. You still have to control him. You can't just ignore him to go to the gun. And that's one thing that people make a mistake of, too. Now the guy's clipping you in the chin. You're dazed and stunned. He's picking the gun back up and putting a bullet in you.
So he breaks down just a ton of different scenarios. Like, what do you do if you crash into a river with your whole family in the car and the doors won't open or the
Yeah.
windows won't go down? Like, just
Yeah.
like he
that's
breaks down
awesome.
scenarios of how he would do it. And he's really cool too because he's got so much experience as an operator and stuff. But it's just a great concept. And it's not, knowing him, it's not about like any sort of fame. It's truly about
Just
like
wanna help
helping
you
people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, just that you never expect yourself to be in those situations. And I feel like you can be in any of those situations probably pretty dang easy. So
Yeah. And
like,
being
you have to be
caught with it,
prepared.
like,
yeah.
even the training that we did with Sam, and like, this is one thing, like all the different operators that I've hung out with me having a rock and roll background, a lot of those guys go into personal protection. So we would be standing outside of an artist's dressing room and I would just pick their brains. Like, where would you have
Where'd you
your
do-
gun
yeah.
if somebody broke into your house? And like,
Yeah.
what position would you have it in? Or how would you go about like clearing a house in the dark? Like,
Yeah.
these are all the questions that I want to
do?
know. But
Yeah.
Dom answers a lot of those.
Yeah.
And it's, available to the public and it's free.
Yeah.
Like you just YouTube it. But beyond all that, I think just like the training of actually like being in the mindset of having like good habits. So like Sam broke it down to me. He's like, what if you're in the back of the grocery store and say it's not even a gunshot victim, but let's say the butcher cuts his femoral artery because he was trying to split, half a beef or whatever,
Yeah.
right? And he gave me a better scenario than that. He's like, you're not going to have time to run out to your truck, get the gauze, and run all the way back to the butcher at the back of the grocery store before he's dead.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, being prepared, like carrying that on you. It takes nothing to carry a package of packing gauze in your pocket. It's like a square this big.
Yeah.
Especially if you buy the compressed stuff.
Yeah.
So now I just carry that everywhere. And I think
that's great.
I think it's safer than carrying a gun around. Honestly, like, I think you should have both, honestly. But like, I always take my tourniquet, a pair of scissors, and some packing gauze, and I have it in a little like kit that hooks on my belt.
Oh, that's smart.
And the best part is you can take it into anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, never once has TSA pulled out my IFAX tourniquet. You know, the one, I think it's IFAX. What do they call this? This is, I forget what these tourniquets are, but it's got a cat tourniquet. So it's got a plastic, everything on it is plastic, right?
Yeah.
So plastic, windlass, you can fly with this.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah.
And if you were injured on a plane, I guarantee you that they don't have one of these on the plane.
No, they don't.
Probably not.
I bet they have the Neosporin and the gauze, and that's all they got. And you're like, okay,
well.
so
you're going to die.
yeah. Good luck. Hopefully we get down fast.
But also, like, if you don't have it, a t-shirt, right?
Yeah. Anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So just like knowing and being prepared.
Yeah.
I think you're more likely to put one of these on. And, you know, rather than, my philosophy is, what are you going to experience probably, or what are your chances of experiencing something horrible happen to you? It's probably not going to be in a mass shooting or in any sort of shooting. Like you just said, how many years have you been a nurse working in a trauma center?
I've been a nurse for, I think, over 14 years and healthcare for a long time. So.
And you've only treated 5 gunshot wounds.
Yeah, and that's just because I was a wound specialist. Like, if I wasn't, I probably would have never seen them. So it's just what I chose to do.
So then I think you're more likely to get in a car accident, right?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Like, that's so dangerous. I don't think people, we just take it for granted. We get in, get our Starbucks, start listening to our podcast.
Yeah.
Hopefully you're listening to the mountainside while you're driving. You get distracted. I mean, or it takes one person to make one mistake to run a red light.
Yeah.
Or something.
Sure.
And we see horrific accidents.
Yeah.
Here in the mountains.
Oh, yeah.
Especially on I-70. It's like...
Oh, yeah. People are crazy.
I mean, anytime that they have designated landing zones at a certain spot on the highway, it means people die there.
Yeah.
A lot. Right?
Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah. And I mean, to this point, too, like, for women, like, it's nothing to keep this stuff in your purse.
Oh, this is super light.
It's nothing.
Like, it doesn't even weigh a pound.
No.
I mean...
Yeah. That's very light.
But you also got to know how to use it. Like, that training that we did with Sam, like, I'd been trained in it, but... he was having us actually like put tourniquets on guys. Cool. And he's like, nope, you did it wrong. Or no, you didn't pull that tight enough.
Yeah.
And the training sucks. These things fucking hurt to have put on.
I can only imagine.
But yeah, there's you can have all the stuff in the world, but if you don't know how to use it.
Yeah.
But I think that this is probably the safest thing to carry around.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to get stopped. It's not going to hurt anybody.
No, heck no.
You save anybody's life, old people, kids, whatever.
Yeah. Yourself.
Yeah.
Everybody. That's awesome.
But yeah, I think just being prepared in life. I think that's one thing that you guys do really well at War Party too. Like all those classes.
Yeah,
you should do a wound dressing class or something.
Talked about
like that.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully in 2025, I think we're gonna kind of incorporate some of that stuff.
That's awesome. I want to come to it.
Yeah, no, more than welcome. Anyone's welcome to come. But I think in 2025, we're really focusing on like situational awareness things. I know Jeremiah's done a few, and they just did one down in Texas. Natasha and Nicole did. And yeah, just kind of making people, I think that's what we're finding right now. It's like, what do we need to focus on? That's what women really want is like, at least right now, like you never know what's going to be happening to you. And you hear about, especially for women too, like getting attacked and like just walking to your car from the grocery store. Like that's something we always had to be thinking about, and your head should like always on a swivel, and you don't really know that you're thinking about it. Because every time I go to the grocery store, I'm like, man, who's behind me? Like, who's parked in the car like beside me? Because I wasn't there when I got there. So I was like, is someone sitting in that car? Can I see anybody in the back seat? Like, where should I put my groceries in? You know, so I'm not exposing myself to this person. Like that is running through your head all the time as a woman, and just being prepared in those situations. Because like even for myself, like I have so much to learn, and I'm excited to learn more, just on those things too. But yeah, we have a lot of, that being said, we have a lot of situational awareness clinics coming up in 2025. So I'm really, really excited about that, to share that with women, and also selfishly for myself to learn a lot more so I can help other people. So
Yeah, that's awesome. That's incredible. It sucks that you have to think that way.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's better to be prepared and have nothing happen,
Yeah.
or when something does happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've had a couple instances where it's like, you know, you go into like the shock or like kind of panic a little bit. And if it's not a motor skill,
Yeah.
you're not going to do it. Like I should be practicing this. If I really want to know how to use this, I should be doing it
Yeah.
once a week at minimum, right?
Yeah.
Like I think that's why
Keeping
I'm
your
so
short
good with
skill.
my bow, is because I enjoy the process
it.
of shooting it and shooting it every day as much as I can. or-
Yeah. Absolutely.
Right? Like I enjoy that process, but then it becomes a motor skill.
Yeah.
I don't think I am more accurate with my bow than I am with my Glock.
Yeah,
Because I don't
same.
ever put any
Yeah.
time.
Same. I'm much more comfortable
I've
behind
proven
my bow.
it. Yeah. Like I've shot my Glock at 40 yards and my bow at 40 yards,
Yeah.
and my group is way better with my bow.
Yeah.
Way better.
And how often are you carrying your bow to the grocery store, you know?
Never. Yeah. I don't carry my Glock to the grocery store either. I guess I
Yeah.
should.
Yeah.
But it's funny because I carry a 10 millimeter for bear protection or predator protection when I'm out there. It's just,
Yeah.
it's almost like a security blanket, but
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know that I could hit anything.
Yeah. Just scare him off. Just blast it in the air. Got him.
God, I'm more scared about people than I am animals, though.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
like this year,
So.
I ran into like a cartel situation.
Oh my gosh.
Elk hunting, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it was crazy.
What?
Or
I
definitely
need more
like,
information on that. What
okay,
happened?
I guess I could tell the whole story. It's going to take a while, but I was elk hunting not too far from here, eastern slope of Colorado, which we have the western slope and the eastern slope. So the eastern slope is kind of considered the front range if you don't live in Colorado. So it's a lot more populated here, right?
Yeah.
So the past 6 or 8 years, it took me to draw this tag. I've been hunting western slope. So all the time that I've been spending in the backcountry has been there or on private property. So I'm not as used to seeing the frequency of people like I saw. I was shocked this year
Yeah.
at how just the frequency of cars
Yeah.
that are on like 4-wheel drive trails. I was like, what the
What
fuck
are you
is
doing
going
here?
on?
Yeah.
Like, what are you guys, where are all these people going?
Yeah.
And I think there's just that many more people that are here.
yeah.
So I was finding success on some public land that was bordering some private, where we were in the elk. And so I kept going into this spot, and it was actually the last day of archery season. I was going in the spot, and it was kind of hard to get to, like a pretty gnarly 4-wheel drive section to get. So like your average cars wouldn't make it into there.
Yeah.
But there was 2 ways into this road. You could come in through the back way, which wasn't as rough, but you had to go like way out of your way to go around, like a lot of like 2-lane mountain road driving to get in there.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the easiest spot. So is where I found the least amount of people and the most amount of elk. So I was like,
Yeah.
this is where
That's
I'm
where I
staying,
wanna
right?
be. Yeah.
So no success up until the last day or the last couple days. And I was on this bull, beautiful bull. I mean, just big 6x6, ivory tips, but I could never get him to come onto public land. And when we did, like super smart, my brother got into him one night when I wasn't there, and he said that he was on public land and would stay like 60 yards away from him. But he would, he was watching my brother, and he was like super ruddy, but he would never expose his vitals. So he would like go behind a tree, and like he would have all of his vitals
Yeah.
like covered and like look around the tree. Like just
Yeah.
those animals are so smart. So I went into this one morning in the spot that we'd been going in, we'd been seeing him, and there was another draw that was like across the 4-wheel drive trail, but way, way up on this mountain. I was like, I'm fucking going in there because I think he moved into there because I didn't see him that morning. And we had some weird kind of pressure and weather change and stuff like that. So I went out and glassed this draw, so I knew kind of where I was going into, and looked at it on my map because I had never been in there.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is the last ditch effort, chance effort at this elk today. So it was the afternoon. I hunted the morning in that section. So when I went out to Glass, I passed another vehicle, and it's pretty rare that you see another vehicle back there. I saw one other guy that was like road hunting that morning, and that was the only vehicle.
Yeah.
So I passed this vehicle, and it was just kind of an odd looking, like old beat up. I think it was like a Jeep Liberty or something, black tinted windows, just beat to shit. And I waved at him, because it's kind of the friendly thing to do when you're in the backcountry is like check in on people, make sure they're okay. Like if I cross somebody on the trail, I'm always like, hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
And people will either tell you if they're in a bad situation or not. It's just kind of that community type thing, right? So I waved at them. They didn't wave back. I didn't think much of it. I was like, asshole, whatever, and kept going. Went out and glassed. And then I picked a spot to go into this ravine. So there was two ways that I could attack the ravine. It was either from the top or from the bottom. So I chose the bottom. I was like, it's going to be easier to go up. And then that way, if I kill something, it'll be
easier to
downhill.
get down. Yeah.
Right? And I didn't really know what I was getting into. So as I was coming out, I started hearing right where I was hunting that morning, like just gunshots. So I was like, oh, those guys are up here shooting.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't think much of it. It's pretty common, but like high caliber stuff, a lot of rounds. I was like, what the fuck?
What are you doing?
Like,
Yeah.
I was like, well, this is
range or
perfect
something?
for my plan, honestly, because if there aren't any elk in there, they
come
probably were right where I'm at, because on the backside of it, to go the opposite direction is just like these sheer cliffs,
Oh, geez.
like 1,000-foot cliffs. So
Yeah.
unless they got mountain goatee, which
Yeah.
I've seen elk do,
Yeah.
and they're amazing what they can do, I was like, they're probably going to go least path
The other
of
way.
resistance and go
Yeah.
the other way. So I started up the ravine, and as I'm headed up the ravine, I start hearing all these, they're still down there shooting. I get about, I don't know, maybe 3/4 of a mile to a mile and a half, somewhere up there, and the wind changed on me. So now it's like blowing at my back, and I'm like, and when you're going up a draw, it just goes all the way up the draw. So I was like, fuck, I'm going to have to reattack this. And it was early in the day. So I was like, I'm going to go back to my truck and go to the top and then hike in from the top, because there was a couple different spots that you could park.
Yeah.
And then prior to that, when me and my brother were up there a few days prior to that, really strange, we saw a sheriff patrolling back there.
Odd.
So I pulled up to the sheriff, next to the sheriff on the 4-wheel drive trail, and he had some dude with him that was in like a polo, like kind of this like nerd on a computer. So I don't know if it was FBI or
undercover something.
something. And I just thought it was really odd that they were back there patrolling. So I asked the sheriff, I was like, hey, is everything all right? He's like, yeah, everything's good. He didn't tell me shit.
Yeah.
But he was cool. I talked to him for a minute, and then we went on. But it was just odd to see a sheriff up there.
Yeah.
So then I didn't put any of this all together until I get to the part of the story.
yeah.
I know this is really long, but it's hard to explain. So I took off came back to my truck at the ravine, and started up the 4-wheel drive trail, and I see this dude like that was in the road take off running, like into the trees and like back kind of uphill, right?
Yeah.
And I'm seeing this guy run, and I didn't really catch what he was wearing. He wasn't wearing camo. I just thought it was a kid or something or something like that. Smaller person of stature. So then as I'm headed up the 4-wheel drive trail, I get to like a campsite, and they had a huge fire going, like massive. And there was probably like 10 or 12 guys like tucked in the trees, and they're all wearing bandanas.
Oh gosh.
Like over their face.
Like,
well,
that's a little
kind of
different.
fucking odd. And I thought, well, I mean, I guess the border is wide open. So it's probably like some migrants like trying to cook or something, but still like disheartening. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening.
Yeah. Right here.
In my backyard, basically.
Yeah.
So I didn't think much of it. I didn't stop or anything. I didn't wave. I just kept going. They were pretty far, like maybe 150 yards off the 4-wheel drive trail, like tucked back in there. So I couldn't really see what was going on. But I was just trying to get to this elk spot before dark because I didn't want to ruin it.
Yeah.
So as I'm headed up the 4-wheel drive trail, there's one spot at the very top where you can see off both sides of the trail. And I come up on a guy that's like bent over. So I thought he was like maybe foraging or something. I'm still being optimistic here, right? And I was microdosing during all this. So
Like,
I'm
am I actually seeing it?
peace and love, like, so I'm being very optimistic. So I get up to him, and he's standing like from here to Adam right now off the 4-wheel drive trail. And I rolled down my window and I just said, hey, how's it going? And just mean mugging me.
Oh,
not
gosh.
wearing clothes from this country.
Yeah.
Looking at me like he wants to fight. Like, that's like, I know that demeanor. Like,
Yeah.
I've been in
You're like, oh,
plenty
no.
of altercations with other men.
Seen that before.
Just that testosterone fueled, like, just like kind of a death stare, you know?
Yeah.
And so I just kind of smiled at him like, fuck you type
Yeah.
thing, and kept rolling with my truck. And then I see him bend over and he picks up an AK platform weapon. I don't know if it was an AK, but like an
Yeah.
AK
Type.
platform weapon. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Totally caught me off guard.
Yeah.
So
my gosh.
to be legal, because I'm on the 4-wheel drive trail, my bow is put away in its case in the back seat.
Yeah.
My 10 millimeter is in its case, clip in the glove box,
Yeah.
in my console
Yeah.
that I can't get to, like very easy. Like there's no
Yeah.
way. Like if he wanted to shoot me,
Yeah.
I would have
Can you
been
hold on
dead
one
to rights.
second?
Yes, yeah.
Gotta get this out real
Hold
fast.
on, yeah. Let me.
Hold
I
on.
gotta get the. Oh shit, the glove box is locked. Hold on, let me
One
get
more
my
minute. So
keys.
sorry.
Yeah. So funny, and so totally unprepared. I mean, the only thing I had was I did have a half-face blade on my chest rig, on my
Yeah.
bino rig. I was like, at least I could get to that, but it's not going
Yeah.
to stop an AK. I mean, bringing a knife to a
AK
gunfight, right?
versus, Yeah.
So anyways, he's like, I'm watching him in my review mirror and he's watching me like go down the trail, like holding it,
ready.
like not drawing on me, but just
Yeah.
like that posture of like, I felt like I was in Vietnam
Yeah.
because he was of Asian descent. I was like, the fuck is going
Yeah.
on? You know?
Just trying to go elk hunting.
So I just casually, as much as I wanted to like punch it and just get the fuck out of there, I casually just started going down the trail.
Mm-hmm.
And right where he was at was where I was going to pull off and go into the top.
Oh.
So it totally ruined everything. So I was
Yeah.
like, fuck. So there was another like pull out. I was like, well, sorry. As I got down, ironically, the only spot that I got cell phone service was right there when you come off that side of the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
So I immediately called the Jeffco sheriff and I just said, hey, I don't know if these guys are just up here shooting. This is what I ran across. I just wanted to let you guys know. It's probably not much, but it made me feel
weird,
uncomfortable.
yeah.
And I'm in the woods all the time. I'm in the backcountry all the time. And I never get
Never see
uncomfortable
this.
around guns or like people shooting or anything like that. But to me, this felt different.
Yeah.
So the dispatch was super cool. She's like, okay, cool. Well, do you mind if you hang tight for a minute and in case we need to call you back or anything like that? I was like, well, honestly, I'm elk hunting. I'll hang out for like another half an hour,
little
but it's
bit,
my like
yeah.
last day. And I was like, I need to figure out what I'm trying to do anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Within 5 minutes, some head sheriff called me from the sheriff's department and wanted like exact details. So now I'm on the phone with him for longer than this. I mean, like we're
Yeah.
going through eye color, hair color,
Everything.
all that sort of stuff. And he's like, okay, are you in a safe spot? You should get out of the area. And I was like, okay, cool. So I just went to another, luckily the game units are huge. As much as I wanted to go back into that spot, it just totally ruined my fucking trip. And
Yeah.
then it's just disheartening. I don't want to see that. And
No.
they're all the stuff that they were doing there, they weren't a lot. I think we were in the middle of a fire ban.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that at those campsites that they were in, it was posted no shooting. But I'm like, thank God I wasn't down that ravine because they were just whizzing
Blowing,
bullets down
yeah.
there, you know, like
Gosh. Yeah.
who knows what they're shooting or if they're shooting with a backstop.
Anything, yeah.
But to me, more even, I was like, well, fuck, I guess this is true. The border really is
It's
open
wide
because
open,
these
yeah.
guys look like they were like straight off the boat or something.
Wow.
I don't know. It was crazy. Like not wearing American clothing.
Yeah.
Like they look like they stepped right off the streets of like Beijing
Yeah.
or something. It was wild.
Which is crazy. I mean, I think if in my head, like if that's where they were going to be, it'd be more like on like the western slope where there's not so many people. Like it shocks me that they were like on that front range so close
Yeah.
to everything.
Crazy.
That's crazy.
And like I'll tell you exactly where it was at
Yeah.
after we
this,
hit record. Yeah.
Yeah.
But just shocking. You'll be totally shocked.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. It was a Jeffco sheriff that I talked to.
Yeah.
So that's in this
tells you
county.
everything. Yeah.
It's literally my backyard. I mean, Jefferson
crazy.
County's big, but
How scary.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
wild. And then, this whole like Venezuelan like gang thing, I really hope, I heard somewhere that they were talking about bringing like Delta guys in to like
I hope so.
just get them the hell out of here.
Yeah.
But it's wild.
Yeah. Because we're we're obviously on like the eastern part of Colorado, and I hate driving downtown Denver now anyway, now that we're like, you know, you got 2-lane roads, there's no stop signs, no stop, it's wonderful. And every time we come downtown.
If you're not checking out the Mountainside Podcast on YouTube, you absolutely should be. If you like the content that we create here and you want to help support the podcast, please take a moment, subscribe to us on YouTube, and hit that notification bell.
What's scary?
Like, yeah.
Like, even if you like go downtown
Well,
Denver
if you look
anymore,
at
it's so
what's
different.
happening in Aurora
Yeah.
or
It's scary.
like, I don't even like my wife and kids, like, because sometimes they go out there for ballet or sports. I'm like, just don't go unless I'm going with
Yeah.
you. And then guess what? That is when my Glock is in
Yeah.
the car. So be ready, motherfuckers. But yeah, no, I hope that they crack down on it at some point. And then, like, to experience it firsthand, you always, you know, you hear about all this stuff, but I know it's real.
Yeah.
I mean, look what I was in the middle of freaking nowhere.
Yeah.
And that's the perfect spot for them to be, because even if they did dispatch a sheriff from there, it's easily, unless they're coming in a helicopter,
Yeah.
it's easily an hour.
Yeah. Well, they'll probably get tipped off at some point and take off.
Oh yeah, they're probably done
restart.
with what they need to do by the
Yeah.
time. So unless you actually catch them back there, is probably why that sheriff was patrolling.
Yeah.
But then you're like one guy against, so probably there was maybe 10, so at
That you
least
could
12
see.
guys,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Insane. All in that one vehicle too.
That's scary.
That
I'm
was-
glad you're
that was
okay.
wild.
My gosh.
Yeah. No, I'm glad I am too. It just ruined a lot for me. I was like, fuck, man. I
Yeah.
hope, you know, and this was like pre-election. Like, at least this election made me feel a little bit
bit
hopeful
better.
that we can maybe fix some of these
Yeah.
problems.
Issues.
Because if we're experiencing it here in Colorado, imagine what they're experiencing like in California or Texas or
Yeah,
like
I can
these border
imagine.
states
Yeah.
are insane. We had this amazing dude. It is an amazing book. Look up John Norris, would you please, Gabby, so I can get the name of his book right. I think it's The Thin Green Line is his book, or something War. Hidden War is the book. You don't need to look it up. Check out this book. It's called Hidden War. This was a California game warden that, if anybody doesn't know what a game warden's main job is, it's like to check hunting and fishing licenses and to implicate the law for wildlife violations, which are normally minor. A lot of times these guys, you know, they're not out like chasing poachers every day, even though that does happen. That's kind of why they're there.
Mm-hmm.
They're just kind of enforcing the laws, like, hey, you know, you're supposed to only have barbless hooks here,
Yeah.
like that sort of thing, right? Somebody a ticket, whatever, right? Like, you're not supposed to park right there.
Yeah.
You need to stay out of this area because it's, you know, for wildlife and hunting and fishing only.
Yeah.
Like, so they're just there to enforce that. And then also they have to be wildlife biologists. So that's really why a lot of these guys that I've talked to is kind of why they get into it, is their fascination for being in the field, dealing with animals. And then they have to have a biology degree. So not only are they law enforcement, they're wildlife biologists on
Yeah.
top of that, right? So it's like this double degree.
Yeah.
I don't think those guys get paid enough.
No.
Most of them are like the coolest people you'll ever fucking meet. Man.
Yeah.
There's good people, good guys. And John is one of those included, but he was a California game warden. And all of a sudden, he ran into like cartel, like grow operations in California.
Mm-hmm.
And it became such a big deal that, like, I think National Geographic made like a television show, like a reality TV show, like following him and his unit.
Yeah.
And they ended up becoming, you know, in a matter of like 10 to 12 years, a paramilitary, like training with SEALs and Green Berets and stuff like that, like doing helocasts like into some of these areas so they could go bust these grow operations.
Cool.
So for somebody signing up to like check hunting and fishing license, and then all of a sudden, like, the cartels in California are a real problem.
Mm-hmm.
And like, if you read his book, it is shocking. Like the tactics that they used,
Yeah.
like Vietnam tactics, like building these things called punji pits where they put like chemicals on bamboo, like shoots, and turn them into spikes. And then they dig a hole, and then they would lay like cellophane or a tarp or something over it, and then put leaves over it. So you fall into it and
gosh.
basically,
People still do that.
impale yourself. This is in
Yeah.
California,
That's
a national
crazy.
forest, you know, or
scary.
like public land.
Yeah.
And just the most horrific, like the chemicals and pesticides they're bringing in, and like changing water direction on rivers, and like
Yeah.
the most grotesque
Wild.
thing you could do to the environment.
Yeah.
And like the
Doing it.
pesticides are totally illegal that they bring in.
Yeah.
And it kills everything.
Everything.
Deer, bees, insect. I mean, like everything.
Anything,
Yeah.
yeah.
Humans included. And then another guy that we had on, Ben Strawn, he's a wildland firefighter. I think he's a superintendent somewhere in Northern California, but not for Cal Fire. Like the real badasses that
Yeah.
are out like in the trenches, hot shots, fighting fires. And he's come across a bunch of stuff like shotgun shells like tied to a tree to like go off like in your
my
face,
gosh.
like all kinds of like booby trap type
Jeez.
stuff.
That's scary.
It's crazy.
I hate it.
So you never know.
awful.
Like you got to
Yeah.
be vigilant, even
Yeah.
when you're in the middle of nature.
Yeah.
You know.
You think you're surrounded by nothing, and you're probably surrounded by way
And-
more than you think you are.
One of the most shocking things about that John Norris stuff is he said almost all, or it was like 80% of the people that reported the actual cartel grows were backcountry hunters because they go
Oh.
the deepest, the furthest. They're
Yeah.
the most quiet, like coming into
Yeah.
a situation. So
Yeah. That's
yeah,
crazy.
stay vigilant.
Yeah, no
You
kidding.
never know.
Report the stuff.
Yeah. So that's why I carry the 10 millimeter.
Yeah.
Full circle.
And that's why we do that.
I need to start shooting with it though, so
Yeah.
I could like actually hit something.
Yeah, no kidding. That's funny.
So what do you guys have coming up at War Party for 2025? Is there any events or anything? Or if like,
Yeah.
I always like to drop two, and if you don't have this information, we can look it up. But like, if you are a woman that finds yourself in domestic violence, how do you reach out to War Party and get that kind of?
Yeah. We obviously have like our Instagram, our website that you can go to. You can message, any of us on the board individually, and we will rally, we'll get there. Kind of the easiest way to do that is pretty much through our website. You can message right through there. Again, most people have Instagram, so you can do it that way. Do it privately, but you can reach out to, any board member, to the, what do you want to call them?
To the website?
Website, or like the individual Instagram
Oh,
accounts.
the DMs?
Yeah, like where that's the easiest way.
Yeah,
to
you
do
guys are
that,
all
but-
super obtainable. Like I've always
Yeah.
gotten messages, and it's a
Easy.
good little community
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, we watch all that stuff. But yeah, 2025. Again, kind of talked about the situational awareness stuff. That's what we're really, really focusing on. We have some, hopefully some, like fundraising events coming up that we're going to be a part of. But we're really just trying to get our name out there and help whoever comes along. We're not trying to do like a big class, we have 50 people. We want to like focus a little bit smaller right now, just to give people, the sense of we're here to help you. And I think it can be really intimidating walking to a room of 50 people instead of like 5. I mean, I know I would be intimidated by that. Like,
totally.
I'm not
Yeah.
going to talk about anything. So
Well, and just the level of attention to detail that you can spend then on 5
Yeah.
people as opposed to
they can ask like
35 or
direct
whatever.
questions, like I've been in this scenario, especially the situational awareness, like what would I do?
Mm-hmm.
And we can Jeremiah's great at it. We'll like break down everything that you need to know of.
What
like,
a
what
guy
did
to
you
have in
do?
your fucking corner.
Yeah, I know. He's awesome.
Yeah.
So, and especially a lot of the girls on the board too have been in domestic, relationships and issues and stuff like that, and they can take their own personal experiences and kind of say like, "This is what I didn't do," and
Where
I wish
they've
I would have.
experienced violence in their own life,
Yep.
or
Yeah.
something,
Yeah, a
or
lot of 'em.
domestic violence in their own life. Yeah.
Yep, a lot of them. And whether that's, physical, emotional, whatever it is, we've kind of, unfortunately, all seen it all, but also really glad we can't, like we all did, so we can help women from every side of whatever abuse they're getting, or even how to just prevent that from happening. Like, you never want to find yourself in that situation. So it's also prevention at the same time. So trying to be a little more proactive instead of reactive to a lot of stuff too. So
100%. I think that's the best thing about it and the best approach. And I encourage you, if you have the means, to go and donate. It's a War Party Ranch you can donate to, right? And
Yep.
that's the nonprofit that takes women that have been in domestic violence situations and then kind of gives them another purpose in kind of whatever they want to chase. But a lot of it is through horsemanship or hunting or outdoor activities, right?
yeah, kind of taking what these women already love to do and finding, giving them a little bit more confidence in whatever that might be or what makes sense to them. Because
sometimes it's a livelihood too. Like Jeremiah explained, you can make money doing the very thing that you love, but then also it's empowering for you personally, right?
Yeah.
It's empowering work,
For
no matter
sure.
who does it, whether
Yeah.
you're a boy or a girl
Absolutely.
or a man or a woman.
Yeah.
Like-
no, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that all that sort of stuff. So it's War Party Ranch, and then War Party Movement is more like if you want a badass T-shirt, like the
Yeah.
T-shirts that Jeremiah makes, like "Don't be
Yeah.
a punto," and
Yeah,
just
these
like
are new ones.
the logo's really
the
cool.
punchy ones.
Oh, I haven't even
They're
seen
punchy.
those.
Yeah, I think
That's
they-
awesome.
They're launching, I think, 1st of December. I think they're actually on the
Is
website
it two
now.
cowgirls on there too?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, those
It's
are
kind of the Marlboro Man
Yep.
logo or the Marlboro logo, right?
yeah,
That's
yeah,
cool.
just punchy, but
That's awesome.
yeah,
I'd
'cause
wear
they're all-
that.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
get you one.
War Party Movement's awesome. They have some incredible apparel, just like cool guy stuff.
Yeah.
And it definitely is cool guy because Jeremiah is
cool
always
guy.
wearing it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I
their
think-
logos are really cool.
Yeah, and I think everything from this sweatshirt specifically is going right to War Party Ranch to raise money for all the clinics we have coming up in 2025.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I think all the money is going to that. So it's a great cause.
I think that
behind
those are the best
getting a cool
things, like
sweatshirt.
purpose-driven merch, right? Because
Yeah.
it makes you feel good about wearing it.
Yeah.
When somebody asks you about it, you can tell them what it's
What it
for.
is.
Like it's
Yeah.
such a great concept, and War Party Movement has been incredible at just that, and not only what they do behind the scenes with all the
Yeah.
money. So like firsthand, like I said, I don't get involved with too many nonprofits, but the ones that I know that are like grassroots seem to be the best ones.
Yeah.
And War Party Movement and War Party Ranch
Yeah.
are that for sure. So
Yeah.
definitely go and donate. And then what I guess moving forward with War Party Ranch and War Party Movement, what is kind of like the grand vision? I don't know if
Cool.
you know the answer to this question, but like I'm sure you do as a board member
Yeah,
are
we-
privy to some of it.
Yeah, we're kind of like definitely for 2025, we're kind of taking a step back and just be like, well, what do people actually need, and kind of relying on the women to kind of tell us, like, again, the situational awareness ones were huge. But I think doing all the clinics where they're teaching, situational awareness, and then like they'll take them out into the woods and like direction, like if you get lost in the woods, what do you do? And then if you're
great
like,
things to
if
have,
you're
right?
handcuffed, how do you get out of them? It's like, especially for the women we're helping, that's very real scenarios they're going to be in or could be in, hopefully not, but higher risk for that for sure. So just even getting out of the scenarios that are relevant to them is going to be really something we're going to hit on. So we're kind of getting more information from the women that we want to help, or any woman really for that matter, or even man. Like we want to do both. You want to help on the other side too. But that's kind of what we have coming up. It's a lot of fundraising right now because we kind of have revamped. I feel like the thing, like the idea is still the same, but we want to do it in a more strategic way.
That's why I
yeah.
love you guys, because you're thinking outside the box and not
Yeah.
just getting stuck in a rut of send us money, and then
Yeah.
this is what we do.
Yeah. I mean,
Like,
we
it's
would love
constantly
money so we
changing,
could
yeah.
do more, right? But
Right.
at the same time, we're all in it just to help.
Well, anything that we
women.
can do to help you here at the Mountainside. Jeremiah knows he's got a seat whenever he wants.
Yeah.
You,
Appreciate
anybody, Micah, Melissa, any of the board members are always welcome here.
Yeah,
I'm
appreciate
stoked that
that.
you were able to make it up. And
Yeah,
thanks for the
thank you.
incredible gift.
Of
You guys
course.
are the best. That's why I love War Party. They always bring me booze. I
Booze.
think the last time Jeremiah
It's our
and
love
Micah brought
language.
me, some
All the
Willies
Yep.
stuff, which is incredible, by the
It's
way.
the
Like, if
best.
you haven't had Willie's, definitely need to go check it out. The scotch
Yeah.
is amazing too. So thank you so much.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
We're gonna go ahead and wrap it up today. It doesn't mean you guys have to leave, but
Yeah.
let's hang out for a minute. And
good.
but yeah, we're at time, coming up on an hour and a half. So
Wow.
thanks for being
Yeah,
here.
of course. Thanks for
It was
having
awesome.
me.
We'll
This is
definitely
great.
have you back. You guys are welcome anytime. So,
Thank you. Appreciate
right.
it.
Go donate. War Party Movement, War Party Ranch. Check them out. At least give them a follow on Instagram. If you don't have money, there's plenty of other ways too that you can help. So definitely help these guys out. Good people. Thanks for listening to the Mountainside Podcast. If you haven't had a chance to do this already, please take a moment, follow, like, subscribe, or rate on whatever platform you catch the Mountainside Podcast at. If you'd like some more information on upcoming episodes, safety tips, access to all of our affiliates, and all the badass discounts that we get here at the Mountainside Podcast, check out themountainsidepodcast.com.